And then if anything happens, I'll tell him.
Welcome to the Lost Rewatch. The Lost Rewatch continues. We have Ralph, who's been you're like a veteran here, Ralph. You've been on here so many times, right?
Yeah.
And someone who finally agreed. The negotiations were tough. I don't know. Is there an earthquake on that side of Raleigh I don't know about?
All right, I'm trying to get comfortable. I don't have the studio. I'm just sitting on my couch.
You literally had like 10 minutes to get comfortable.
I know, but like I was in that position for too long, and now like I got uncomfortable by the time you hit live. Sorry.
Anyway, we're joined by Jay Glatfelter.
I wonder why he waited. Yeah, I wonder why he finally agreed to show up.
Well, he was supposed to be on the first one.
Was I
supposed to be on the first one?
Yeah, you were supposed to be on the
first one. I don't know if I was supposed to be on the first one.
I think I was on that one, right?
Yeah, if you go back, it was me, you, and Axel. If you go back and to the panel at Comic-Con.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we definitely all said, but it's okay. It's okay. Jay, what we usually do on this show, anytime it's first time guests, we ask them how they got involved in Lost. What was any funny stories, all that different stuff. I know that you've been quoted many times as saying that you were fortunate to have such a talented partner to work with, who also has a podcasting award. So anyway,
I do. Thank you.
It's
and Ralph was there.
I was there.
Show us your award. There. Anyway, give us your story, Jay. How did you get into Lost? And hopefully my internet's been acting up, so hopefully I stay here and all that stuff.
We just watched it, like you and I. We watched it. We saw previews for it, and then, but we both, like I worked odd hours, so I didn't see it when it aired originally, the first season. So we're like, let's just wait till, because this was back when you didn't have streaming or anything. So let's just wait till they show it reruns during the summer, and that's when we'll watch it. So I believe we TiVo'd it. And for some reason, it didn't TiVo. We only got the second half of the pilot episode.
Right.
So we started the second half, and we're like, wait, this doesn't seem right. I know it's supposed to be a mystery, but I feel like we're missing something. And so like, oh, dang, it's the second part of the first pilot. So then I was like, we have to wait till the DVDs come out. And then I think the first season DVDs came out. Ralph, you probably know this even rather, but it was like, I
watched it like from the beginning, so.
Yeah, whatever. You're better than me. We all know this. But I feel like the DVD came out August or September, and I bought it, and then we watched it all as a family in like 2 days. And then season 2.
Well, I remember the first day was we finished like we went to like 6 a.m.
Yeah, like we literally finished the whole first 24 or 25 episodes in like literally a couple of days. And then the first episode aired, and the Lost podcast was not my first foray into the internet. I ran a Ghostbusters toys website before that, so I had experience with internet type stuff. And I wanted to do a podcast, and you came home after the second season premiere because you were reffing or something, or at a hockey game. And once you watched it, I have like notes that I've written down because I wanted to talk to you about all the different stuff from that episode. And you came home, and then we just like, you watched it, and then we just started sharing notes and talking about it. I was like, this is it. This is the podcast. And then that's how I got involved with Lost.
Nice. A little longer story than most, but it's okay. It was interesting.
You didn't tell me it to be short and succinct.
I'm just kidding. We have Eric and Gail are in the house in the chat, so we're live here, people. So this is, people can watch this live. So there's no mistakes. There's no going back and like one time.
Well, I mean, it's only like 2 people. So
Ralph got attacked one time. It was like a windstorm, right? Something happened.
Yeah, last time the wind, like it was windy. A gust came through, knocked the bike off the balcony, which is right on the other side of this wall, and it shook my desk. And yeah, I freaked out. That got cut out, huh?
Yeah. No, I think I cut it out. Didn't I? Did I cut it out? Okay.
I don't watch.
Bill's been here. Bill's been a guest from time to time here. So anyway, Jay, how long's it been since you've watched a Lost episode?
Did you rewatch these?
I totally did.
Okay,
It's
I
such a
almost
time to
didn't.
watch these episodes.
Did you watch it, or do you have Wikipedia, Lostpedia, or whatever it's called?
No, I totally watched these episodes in preparation for this podcast or video show. No, but before this, it's probably been since we were doing our own on the Lost podcast,
The Lost Rewatch.
retrospective, which I think Ralph may have been on that last step. I don't know. Ralph did a few of those with us. So it's been a few years. It's been a minute. And I think we started the retrospective on the 10-year anniversary, which was 5 years ago.
Well, we finished it.
So
I
maybe
think.
5 years.
Sorry.
We did finish it, but we jacked it for like 4 episodes a week, right?
No, we did a rewatch first, and then we started doing a retrospective on the 10th anniversary.
Oh, we haven't.
Which lasted maybe like 6 months, and then it just became really hard to keep going. I blame you. You broke me.
I was the one that wanted to quit.
No, you broke me. I didn't want to do it anymore.
You gotta come up with a crack button. Another one.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've been
the level of Jack's laziness, like just I couldn't do it anymore.
Sure, I'll take the blame. I don't care. But no, we'll get to what we thought of each episode at the end of the recap. But we start off with question mark, and it's funny. I've said this every time. I remember the episodes, but I forget what happened in those episodes.
Right.
And you forget how I forgot how good these episodes were. But Echo sees the ghost because in the last episode, Ana Lucia has been shot. Libby's been shot by Michael.
Can I just say something? A couple things before we get into question mark.
Sure.
A couple things. First thing is that I was in Hawaii when I watched this episode. I was at Turtle Bay, and I remember we had to make sure we were back in the hotel room with our dinner by the time Lost started.
That's dedication.
I believe I called either you guys or Scott and Steve when after the episode aired and left a phone message. Also, this was.
Do we know that? Wait, do we know the air date? I can look it up real quick. I can find your call if you did call.
Go for it. I don't know the air date.
I'll look it up.
Okay,
it'll say on the.
More importantly, if I remember correctly, no, I don't. This is absolutely correct. This is during the time that Dylan left Make Your Own Kind of Music with Scott and Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And so what happened is this episode from SOS to what's the next one we're doing? 3 minutes?
Yes.
Notice?
Mm-hmm.
Those 4 episodes, including these 2, are the 4 episodes that me and Ben covered to help Craig get back to doing Make Your Own Kind of Music. So we did an episode of Make Your Own Kind of Music, Scott and Steve, where me and Ben were Steve and Scott, and then threw those out there to Craig so that he would be like, oh, I don't know, I need to go back and do all these episodes that I could just pick up with a new host, which is what happened. But that was the first episode of what became the Dharmalars. So for those of you doing the rewatch with Jack, if you want to do a re-listen to Dharmalars, now's when you jump on board. We did a 4-parter episode with SOS. I think 2 for the road, question mark, and 3 minutes.
Right.
And then after that, Scott and Steve came back. It was Craig and Ryan, Craig and Ryan, and then they mentioned us. That we were also going to be doing episodes too, and then we're like, all right, sure, I guess we're going to do more episodes. And so you
got pressured into it.
Yeah, but this is the beginning of the Dharmalars right here. This is this episode. These 4 episodes. So yeah, kind of cool. So for those of you doing the rewatch, if you want to go back and listen to old Dharmalars episodes, it's a show that I'm really proud of. And I think it might be fun to re-listen to as you rewatch Lost to see where our brains were going, to see where we got things right, where we got things wrong. mostly right. We were pretty smart dudes. No. But yeah, check it out if you get a chance.
SOS
they're all available. They're all available on the old Dharmalars feed. So
SOS is where
Okay.
you got your name, right? Because Bill pointed out he saw the Dharmalar cookies when Bill was on with we did SOS and Two for the Road, and he said he knows it. And I said, yeah, that's definitely where they got their name.
Yeah.
Well, because
we noticed the box. We noticed the box in the episode, and what happened is we talked about, if you listen to that first episode, we talk about Dharmalars a lot, and then I believe when we were about to come back, I think Charlie was going through Sawyer's stash, other box of Dharmalars in the stash. And so we brought it up again, and when it came time to name the show, we just decided that's what we were going to call ourselves. So yeah, this is a box from the actual set of Lost. And spoiler alert for those of you that are watching this for the first time, it's burnt on the back from the hatch explosion. So
spoiler.
Does it explode or implode?
It still smells like chocolate.
Mm.
There's actually Malamars in here. I can't cut the sticker off, but you can smell the Malamars in there. So they're however many years old that they shot that episode. So
well, they're supposed to last forever.
Ralph,
apparently they are.
Has your phone number changed in ever? Your cell phone?
I don't believe so.
Because I'm looking at 2714. Does it end with? Well, I have your cell. I'm looking at your cell number.
Is it a let's say the 797? Is that the first three numbers?
That's your first spot. I have 2714 area codes, which is Anaheim. I know that's your area code. Yeah. But no.
Used to be San Diego, but you guys stole it.
Okay, I probably called Scott and Steve.
You probably called Scott and Steve because, frankly, they were the better podcast. But I'm looking at all the calls from that day, from that episode, and it's kind of fun to look back on all those. But it was crazy though with Scott and Steve going away, because like that season was kind of like the first crop of Lost podcasts, and I feel like ours is one of the few that kind of survived the entirety of season 2 because Ryan and Jen dropped out after Fire Plus Water, or right either before Fire Plus Water or Fire Plus Water was the one that broke them, and they didn't want to podcast about it, or they took their break after that point.
The ho hum episode,
and then Scott and Steve dropping out too was a bummer for us, kind of original crop of Lost podcasters when losing them as well.
Yeah, going back and when I rewatched Fire Plus Water, it was a bad episode. I think the thing that I hated the most about it because I liked Charlie, and Charlie comes off like he just comes off as a jerk in this episode. So I think that's really why I didn't like the episode.
Well, they didn't know what to do with him, and then they didn't really know what to do with him until they killed him. Really,
right?
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers. God, jeez, man.
Sorry.
This is live. I can't edit this out. It's
been
live.
10 years since the episode aired, so like.
Anyway, are you ready to? Before you spoil anyone else on the rest of Lost, do you want to dive into question mark?
Sure.
Well, you got Echo sees the ghost of Anna, right?
Right.
So I thought that was pretty cool, and she's telling him all this stuff. You need to help John. And then he says, Yemi. He sees Yemi, and Yemi says, Echo, you need to go help John. You have to take him to the question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you guys remember watching this at the time and thinking, "Oh my God, how cool is this?"
Well, I don't really remember much of it. I mean, like I said, we did watch it in Hawaii. God, you know what? Now I'm thinking about it. Was it this episode? Am I getting my timelines confused? Because why?
I remember when you were in Hawaii, because I remember we were talking about it before you went or something, because you're gonna go on try and find spots or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I can just look it up on MySpace.
MySpace.
Have you been to your MySpace recently? I went to there recently.
I try every once in a while.
I can't remember my username or password.
I don't remember if I thought it was cool or not. I do definitely remember seeing the imagery of Echo looking down on the plane, and you kind of seeing it's the Pearl Station, right? Seeing it's a circle. It's not necessarily a question mark, but the way that the circle and the grass and the plane are set up, it has the appearance of kind of a question mark, and like it's kind of like visually it mirrors the map from whichever the blacklight map was in. I think that one came later.
That was
because we had the map
Ben was already there.
He had the map before that. That's why he was trying to find where the question mark was.
Right, but I like that. I like that it wasn't a literal question mark on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Well, that because it was what was it was the Inman who was the he was trying to he didn't know what that middle station was because he was kind of doing reconnaissance around.
Maybe he could have been in it, and he just saw a blank circle in the middle, so he didn't know what that station was called.
Yeah, but in that video, the station 5, right? The orientation video, he said it's the Pearl, so I assumed you would have put in the tape.
Maybe.
Anyway, to me, that like at this point, I mean, season 2, there was this kind of inflection point of where even for Echo, who should still have strong flashback stories by this point, this flashback wasn't that strong of a flashback. It had some kind of like, it had Claire's psychic.
Was it Malcolm?
But he's saying he's a fraud. And so like, that's kind of cool. There's a callback there. There's a Libby in the airport.
I have a crackpot theory. Not a crackpot theory, but an interesting, what I'm going to call an Easter egg. So in Echo's flashback, it's all about like coming back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the girl who drowned, and you can hear her in the recording during the autopsy coming back to life. Right. You also have Ana Lucia's ghost showing up. She comes back to life, and Yemi, and we've seen him sort of come back to life in this sort of spirit form. This episode has Oliver Muirhead as the priest that helps, that sends Echo on this mission for this girl who came back to life, supposedly. Oliver Muirhead was in the Tombstones commercials, where every Tombstone commercial, he was sentenced to death somehow, but he would always come back in the next Tombstone commercial. So I thought that was kind of a fun, because they would always, he was always about to die, and they would say, well, what do you want on your tombstone? And he would say pepperoni and cheese. So he was always returning in different episodes or different commercials. So it's kind of funny that here he is in a Lost episode dedicated to like death and reincarnation. I don't know if it was meant to be that way, but I thought it was funny.
I think I never knew that, so that's great.
I just put it together while watching it because I always knew he was the Tombstone Pizza guy. Do you remember those commercials? Jay might.
I don't.
I vaguely remember him.
It was
now like you said. I do remember him saying pepperoni and
cheese. Yeah, cheese. He would be like a cowboy hanging from a rope.
Yeah,
and the sheriff would say like, what do you want on your tombstone? And he'd say pepperoni and cheese. And there was a Tombstone Pizza. It was like it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. It's like that was the tagline. It was what do you want on your tombstone? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad
the only one I remember from that time period is the guy from not Perfect Strangers. Maybe it's Perfect Strangers. But the Bobo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Boba Lee commercials for the bread that you put the pizza on. Anyway, but to me, like the flashback was kind of weak, especially because it was the second Echo flashback, right?
Yes.
So, but the island story was really, really strong because you had, some of like Hurley's best like I guess most dramatic moments with the death of Libby, and you had Locke and basically Locke who's lost his way and Echo trying to bring him back.
Right.
Was just a really it's a shame that Adewale Akinnuoye Agbaje wanted out because just the dynamic between those two was just so strong.
Well, great character and great actor. So
yeah. So yeah, I think that to me is what I remember, or watching it again, what I remember the most is just how moving the Hurley Libby stuff was, and how moving it was when Echo found his brother, his dead brother on the plane. Like that connection was just so like moving. And then just Locke, who doesn't have faith anymore, who doesn't believe in the numbers, and then Echo kind of taking that mantle.
Well, the reason if you don't remember, the reason he doesn't believe in the numbers because Ben played head games with him.
Yeah.
Did you punch in the numbers? Because so he was already working on Gullible Locke.
Oh yeah.
So he's already telling apart. But I do like in this episode, someone has to tell Jack again, we have a wounded person here. You can't go off looking for Ben. So Sawyer's like, no, you have to stay. Again, Jack is the only doctor, and he has to be told again, you have to stay. Because the episode before...
Yeah, but he has a hero complex. That's what he...
I get that, but you're the doctor. Save the person. Because the episode before, Michael comes back, and he's ready to go run off looking to see if someone, brought him there. And Kate goes, Jack, Michael. Michael needs your help. So Jack, Jack's a mess. Would we agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's always been a mess.
But his whole thing is he always has to save people, but yet he can't.
Well, that's what's neat about like the death of Jeremy Bentham, and that is what finally like changes Jack's trajectory, right? I think that's kind of what's neat about Jack's story. And to Ralph's point, he is broken. He's been broken. And he doesn't kind of stop being broken until the death of Jeremy Bentham, which isn't spoiling anything. It's being coded.
It's deadlock.
Can we go back to Adewale leaving?
Yes, we can.
Leaving. I just thought of something, and I'm kind of hoping that I don't know if I want a new reboot of Lost or like a Legacy sequel, as they call it, where you have like some old characters that come in and hand off the baton to new characters. But I was thinking with his storyline ending, and we don't really get much in the way of what he was building the church for. I think, and this could just be a theory, and it could just live in my headcanon, is that maybe since Ana Lucia appeared to Echo at the church as a spirit, maybe that church is a gateway between the afterlife and the real life. And so that's where Hurley creates the church for the afterlife where they all meet. Like that's the spot. Like because isn't that the whole thing is Hurley created that place for them to meet everybody? So why not? So I think that it would be kind of cool if we see Hurley in front of Echo's church, maybe finishing it. And once he steps in, it's the church from the Flash Sideways.
Oh, I like that.
Kind of like a TARDIS. So it'll be a gateway to the afterlife. Because Echo's whole thing here is he's trying to either contact Yemi or kind of he becomes more spiritual and he builds this place. So I think it would be really interesting if That's how all of this went down. That's what happened with the flash sideways. Was Hurley was able to create a gateway by using Echo's church. So maybe when they go out the door at the end and you see the light, they're back on the beach living as whispers. They get to be together.
So Michael can have someone to talk to.
Right.
Okay. He's not outside the with Hurley going, "Can I come in? Can I come in?"
And I'm trying to think.
You're a bad man.
And maybe that's why we don't see Echo inside the church, is because Echo's always outside.
I know the real reason we really don't see him is because he wanted a lot of money.
Right. But if you just think about it like from a story standpoint, Echo wouldn't be inside the church; he would be outside where he constructed it. But
I like that a lot. I could live with that.
I think if someone with any artistic skills could do a rendering of Hurley standing in front of Echo's completed church, and then with the doors open and everybody from the final scene inside, would be kind of.
Well, could they ever? Because you see, Charlie
or have them walking out of that church with Hurley welcoming them. Like, I don't know.
Dude. Oh, would that be the line?
Oh yeah, he would say that to everybody as they pass through.
Then he goes, Libby. Here, and when Libby comes out, he has 2 blankets. There you go.
Oh, there you go. That's so sad. A picnic waiting.
Yeah,
fully laid out picnic next to the church on the beach.
Better.
Yeah. All right. I know.
I like that. That's great.
I might commission that.
I do it. I like it. Echo and John go out looking. John Echo says, "I'll volunteer." I'll go looking, but he wants John, and John's on crutches, so of course you want John, right?
Yeah. Jay
wants anything told him to do, right?
I know Jay wants John for.
To me, it's I know it's Jack gets like 5 things just sticks to him for the rest of his life. But Locke is just such a compelling character. He's flawed like any human.
The show doesn't work without Locke.
But yeah, I think.
But how
for
many
me,
times
as a Locke
the head?
fan, like I felt his frustration throughout all of it but it kind of shows the flaws in putting all of your eggs into one basket of belief, and everything is riding on this one thing. But if that one thing doesn't turn out to be what you thought it was going to be, then what do you believe in? And it's something that Damon Lindelof has done so well, and it's kind of been neat following his creative path with Lost, and then with Prometheus, and then with Leftovers, and every time it just gets a little better and a little bit more refined, a little more perfectly honed. So that's what's been neat to kind of watch in rewatching this episode, with now having the perspective of the Leftovers and Watchmen. It's just neat to see kind of the prototypes of that same stuff in Lost, which is cool.
I don't know how he's going to evolve from Watchmen.
Right?
Watchmen was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
But I said that. I said that after Leftovers.
Yeah, and that so exactly like Leftovers. Especially season 2, I thought it just was kind of he exercised his Lost demons. But yeah, with Watchmen, I see why he doesn't want to do a season 2, because it was just a perfect story. Like there's nothing more to tell. And but again, I thought with the first original Watchmen, there was nothing more to tell, and then bam, this story was perfect. So, so I don't want to say there will never be a season 2, but I see why he's not in a rush to do a season 2.
Yeah, I said after season 2 of Leftovers, I'm done. I can't top it, but he managed to knock it out of the park. So hats off to him. We have Echo leading the way. He asked John, "Where's the question mark?" And John's like, "Huh? What? John's a terrible liar. Can we all just admit, John? He's terrible.
Wait, did you just have me on this episode just so you could talk crap about Locke the whole time?
No, I'm pointing. Is he a good liar?
I feel like this was a hit job.
Is he a good liar?
No.
So, but then Echo headbutts him. And then he wakes up and he goes, but John tells Echo, "It's not my hatch." Ah, ah. So he starts
calling it a hatch. By this point, they really need to stop calling it a hatch.
All right, Scott and Steve.
Yeah.
No, it bugs me. It really bugs me. It's not a hatch. The thing they opened was a hatch. I am currently in a room. I am currently sitting in my room. I'm not sitting in my door.
I'm in a hatch.
All right. Sure. But I guess the question mark is a hatch that they need to open to get down into it. The Pearl Station.
There you go. I think that it's like the person used to remember, the person used to write us, Jay, and say, he'd go, it's not a theory. He'd argue about the theory thing. Do you remember that email that we used to get from that guy?
Probably. Maybe.
I go.
There's a lot of those guys.
Yeah. And he would, like, every 3 weeks. Again, it's not a theory. I said, I don't know what to tell you. I go, everyone's calling it a theory. Can we just agree?
But that was kind of, there was a beauty to the time period that Lost was in, that there wasn't YouTube comment sections. There wasn't Reddit. So a lot of like the awfulness of the internet was still somewhat.
Yeah.
It was more one-on-one.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So there was still kind of beautiful period of the internet before it sucked.
Before Reddit, we'd probably be breaking down and crying. Echo steps on one of his Virgin Mary statues.
Right.
Interesting. And then John says he says about Boone. Boone died, and he goes, "Well, that was the island requested a sacrifice, and it was Boone." And Echo goes, "What'd you say?" Nothing. Don't headbutt me again. I'm good.
So with Echo stepping on the Virgin Mary statue, is that just a show to remind the audience that there's heroin in it for the Charlie stuff to come later?
But I think that was revealing for Echo too, because he didn't know that it was. No, he knew there was that in there. So yeah,
no, he put it in there.
Redundant.
He put the heroin.
Yeah,
in there.
Yeah, exactly. He knew that. Yeah, so it was redundant.
Well, was it,
or it was a reminder for the audience?
It was a reminder for the audience. Yeah. Well, I'm saying it's kind of redundant. I mean, it's assuming the audience is pretty dumb.
Yeah, but it's a better way of doing it. They didn't really nail you over the head with it, but it does. You have a Charlie storyline coming up.
Yeah.
Well, the next scene, Jack asks Sawyer, "Where's your stash? I need the heroin." He wants heroin for Livy.
Right.
So maybe that's why they were. Oh, that's right. There's heroin. Pump it in her, and she'll be fine. And then the stat, he wants Sawyer to get it. Hurley asks Kate, Sawyer, they're in the thing, and Hurley comes, "Hey, have you seen Libby?" They're like,
they're in the thing.
Hashtag awkward.
Let's see. We got to go back to the hatch. Or the two doors.
That's the thing that always got me on Lost, was the death reveals to people that didn't know it yet, because it gave you like a second emotional bump. Like the most famous one is like, or the one that gets me is Hurley asking, "Where's Charlie?"
Right.
Like it's like a. I guess these usually center around Hurley. The show does that really well, where they can really milk, the emotion out of a character death.
Well, Jay said earlier too that these were great scenes for Jorge. That he showed his emotion, a range of emotion, and it's like everybody likes Hurley. So when Hurley's sad, we can't help but be sad. If Sawyer's sad, we're like, okay, it's Sawyer. He's a jerk. But when Hurley's sad, we're like, no, not Hurley, no.
Yeah.
And then I think it's a great twist. We see Echo, he sees Yemi, he starts climbing up the, Boone Hill. What do you want to call Boone's?
You could say he's echoing what Boone did.
Nice. But then we find out
Awful.
it's not Echo with the dream, it's John.
Right.
I just thought that was cool. No, nothing, Jay.
Cool.
I mean, it makes sense that it's John's dream because it's echoing what he saw before, and it's the best word to use. It just happens to be that dude's name.
I mean, I know the production quality is not high here, but we need like a little echo meter, a little counter, just how many times that's number 2.
Ding, 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 ding. But here's John is so brilliant because you have Echo climbing up this. It's dangerous, and what does Locke say? Echo, be careful. Was Echo going to jump off? Was he? What was he going to do? I mean, be careful.
I don't know, but yelling is going to cause a avalanche.
But you know what's amazing too is the last time John was there, he had a leg injury. He had problems with his legs before, so he couldn't make the climb again.
So there's some sort of property there that's countering what's happening at the Swan. Could that be something?
Maybe, or maybe
just out of range of the Swan.
The island doesn't want John to. The island doesn't want John to die yet.
Or the island doesn't want John to lose his faith, which they know will happen when he goes down there, because that's essentially what happens.
Right. Well, he was already on his way,
out.
but that was
John is a sorry, Jay, but John is an idiot. John will believe anything he sees in an orientation film.
Yes.
So he goes to the Swan and he's like, okay, this is what has to happen. He goes into the Pearl. He says, oh, it's all BS. But then we learn like later on that none of it matters. Like it doesn't it's almost like the orientation videos are there as experiments just to tell what people need to hear in that room, and you're not meant to go in multiple rooms. So the people in the Pearl are there to monitor the people in the Swan, and they're just saying, "Oh, you're just doing this because of experiments."
Right.
And then they're throwing their journals in the thing, right, in the pneumatic tube,
the bank thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I'm assuming Dharma goes and picks those up, and they log and say so that they can monitor what's happening in the Swan without going and opening the Swan. So they're monitoring from a distance.
Right.
But they figured, oh, why don't we make this an experiment too? So the Pearl's an experiment, and then the Swan, we're going to treat it like an experiment by putting 2 people in a habit trail by themselves.
And why does he believe the video so much when it's not Marvin Candle, it's what's Wickman, right?
Yeah,
I have it written down somewhere, but it's Wickman. It's the same guy, but he doesn't put 2 and 2 together. Well, wait, why would he be? You know, I don't know. Jay, you're a strong.
He takes it at face value. He really takes it at face value. He has faith in these people that he doesn't know. You know, he doesn't understand he wasn't part of the Dharma initiative.
To be fair, I'll defend Locke here. You're saying he has faith in people he doesn't know because the people that he has known or he meets always screw him over. His dad, right. His mom, everybody he's had. Helen, I mean, you can go on and on and on, have screwed him over. So I guess you would have more faith in someone you don't know opposed to someone you do know. Right, Jay? Is that a good defense for John?
I think he would so desperately wants something to believe in that he'll latch on to anything.
Right.
That's it. I think that's it. I think you look at Damon loves broken people. Locke is broken. Both his spine and his kind of leg as well. So just kind of hitting us over the head with it. Yeah, I think I think that's just it. I think he's just so desperate for anything, and Ben Linus has messed up his brain so much, and he's still Henry Gale, right?
Yeah, he's still. We don't know who he's. We know he's not Henry Gale. We just don't know who he is.
Yeah, Sawyer calls him formerly Henry Gale, but they don't have a name yet. I don't think we get that till season 3.
Right? Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was.
We had a while where
his name was going to be,
because that was supposed to be it. That was supposed to be. He was done.
But I believe it was the season 3 premiere, and I remember Ryan, I think, did like a video for us or something. But that's when they announced the name Benjamin Linus was his name at the Hawaii season premiere.
Nice. Echo makes it to the top. We talked about this before. He sees a question mark. The plane with Boone, when Boone fell over and died, the sacrifice landed on the hatch doors. I just wrote hatch, but I don't want to cause. Ralph get mad at me. So I
calling it a hatch door means that the hatch is the place and the door is the way to get in. The hatch is the way to get in.
Okay, the hatch.
The hatch. It lands on the hatch. Once they open and go through the hatch, they are in the Pearl Station.
But I do
wait, it's a hat? I thought it was a hatch.
Hatch.
I know. I'm just, sorry.
But I do like, because when they get it all, the plane, John turns to
the metal door.
Echo uses his axe to break the locks, and John goes, "Can I?" So he's all excited now. John's all excited that they're going to go inside this tunnel of where the doors are opened up.
He's excited because he's going to get into a place that Inman and Rzinski weren't able to figure out.
Yeah.
So he's able to open a box that has yet to be opened.
But John's excited because and Echo sees it, maybe the chance that maybe John will be reborn again. Maybe John will have he'll have faith in the numbers, but as we see, no, that didn't happen.
Call it faith, call it luck, call it karma.
Call it Dharma.
Oh yes.
Hurley, we go back to the Swan Station.
Make that a shirt.
Not the Swan Hatch. Hurley tells Michael
with a ghost in it.
With the ghost in it. Yep.
Yeah.
Because you have John.
You didn't get it.
I wasn't listening. You have Kate, Jack, Sawyer, all this, and Michael deciding how they're going to pursue things. And he goes, "They're dead. They're dying. They're dead." And they've been shot. And he goes, and Hurley tells Michael, "This was going to be our first date." And we're like, no, no.
Yeah. Wait, so is
barely
this My question though is this a recap video show or a rewatch show? Because
it's whatever
you're going
we want
through the whole
to
thing, Jack. I didn't even have to watch the show. You're doing such a great job.
Well, why don't you give a 1-star review and say, why do I need to recap when I just watched the episode? You had a few of those in your time. Jim says Jack never listens. No, I don't.
For anybody who thinks that way, go re-listen to the Dharmalars. I think we jotted down notes of things we wanted to say, but I don't want to do a recap. I'm not going to sit here and be a.
We can do whatever. Take it.
What was so tough about the recap, because it was something that I loathed to do, but we were in this place where it was right, yeah, and it was that was the show. And when we got more popular, that's what people wanted. And it just became I would list, love the Dharmalars, love so many others. And ones that didn't, like yours, that didn't really have a recap. I just was just I want to be them. I want to be what they do.
Well, what's good about rewatching it? I'm glad I rewatched the episodes because I was like, maybe I don't. I've seen them a million times. I'm sure whatever Jack says will spark some memory. But I'm glad I rewatched it because there's a line in here. There's a line in here which I don't know if Jack wrote it down or not. I don't know if we're to that point yet. But it makes reference. It makes reference Well, you probably wrote it down. It's a line between
Must be a good one.
Locke. It's between Locke and Echo, and Locke's asking, "What do we do next?" And what is Echo's response? Wait for further instructions.
Oh, that's what you like.
No way. I don't want to wait for further instructions. Further instructions is the worst episode of Lost. And no, thank you.
Have you seen Fire Plus Water?
You know what's not that? You know what? With Fire Plus Water had Hurley in the robes, right?
Right.
Yep.
And that's the one where I photoshopped a lightsaber in Hurley's hand and gave him a first hand and stuff. That's got to be somewhere on the internet, I'm sure.
It's on our so the original Lost podcast, all of the shows, everything, it's all archived. janejack.com/lost. And I made a blog post on that. Is there a way to share? Oh, I can share a screen. Hold on, I'm gonna go find that right now.
I was gonna say, when Jay was talking about doing the recap, taking the notes, the best thing for me was I didn't have to take all these notes. I just had snarky comments, great theory, snarky comments. So I didn't have to write down that much. Lock sucks. No, we don't have to recap. Oh, we can do this. You guys are the guests. You take it. You take this show any direction you want.
No. I was making a joke about how people hated that we did recaps. So I'm just.
Well, no, I get it.
So speaking of Wickman, what is it? Charles? No,
it's Mark Whitman.
Mark Wickman. Speaking of him, I just saw the Birds of Prey movie, and he's in it. He has an appearance. So if you want to see Dr. Marvin Candle get his face peeled off, go see Birds of Prey. You want to see
it for free? Check out 2 weeks ago he was on Magnum PI.
Oh, sweet. Did he get his face peeled off?
No, he plays a bad guy though.
Oh. What about his family? Did they also get their face peeled off?
I don't remember. No, I don't remember the scene.
It's not really a spoiler because it's the first thing you see.
Well, now I don't have to see it.
Yeah. I always like seeing one of my favorite things about Lost and Marvin Candle was in doing the podcast, looking up like people's IMDb pages, and he was Quick Kick from G.I. Joe. He was the voice of Quick Kick from G.I. Joe, and Quick Kick was one of my favorite G.I. Joe action figures.
Nice.
But it was one of the. It wasn't one of the like 2 feet tall G.I. Joes like you had, Jack.
It was one of the good ones.
I'm not old.
All right. So, can you guys see my screen? Are you putting that up, Jack?
I can do that. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, Ralph, you must have done this a lot because I made posts that were called Lost Parody Picks from Ralph. And this is from,
it's like Ralph again. I know a lot of people.
I was just figuring. That's when I like early days of me buckling down and figuring out Photoshop. Like I was and that's how I made
the early days of Ralph.
Yeah, and
but so I used to make posts when you would send them because here you did one with the link is broken, the image is gone.
Oh, okay.
But have you seen this frog? He had a Lock action figure thing. I don't remember.
Man. I have no idea what those are. That's funny.
More Lost parody pics. Our resident Photoshopist Ralph has made some more funny pics. Check them out.
Check them out. They're so cool.
When was that? What year was that? 2006.
February 2006. Oh yeah. So Aloha and goodbye. That's when Ryan and Jen left January 30
years ago. That's almost exactly.
Fire Plus Water. That's about when you have done it. I know I put it on.
I was like 21. Is that right?
Wow. So you are.
I'm not good at math.
Well, I was 21. No, I was still 20. I was 21 until March of 2006.
So if you guys were 20, I must have been like 32.
I don't know how.
I was probably 40. God, I must have been 45, 46. Jeez.
Yeah, Ryan and Jen, they left after Fire Plus Water, so that is right.
Quitters.
Yeah, then they said, yeah, if you guys want to hear, go listen to Jay and Jack, and people are like, you guys suck. You're nothing like them.
Yeah, we got a lot of.
I say, oh my God, stop helping! Please don't recommend us anymore.
I wonder if they mentioned Dharmalars. I don't think we were around then.
No, you weren't. Check us out on MySpace.
were,
We still have a MySpace link here. Let's check this out.
Oh, we have a MySpace.
MySpace.com/Jay and Jack.
Hey, there you are.
Hey,
there's the Dharmalars. You're in our top 8.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
Nice.
I wonder if there's any activity on that page. Yeah, it looks great.
Oh, the last time you did this was when you did the reunion for Autism Speaks for the live show. That's
nice.
Cool.
That's dope. Anyways, all right.
Page is looking active.
I forgot we had a MySpace account for Jay.
Yeah.
I probably didn't pay attention. Anyway, so I'll make a recap quick. Echo asked John if he wants to watch the tape again. John goes, no, I don't want to watch the tape again. No.
It was a nice little inverse because, the first orientation video, he's like, we're going to have to watch that again. And Jack was like, man, you want to see? And so they kind of had a nice little role reversal here.
And then John says,
which I'm sure I thought was hilarious at the time. Which I'm like, oh, he doesn't want to watch it again because of the orientation episode.
Well, then John says what we were all thinking, though. John says every minute of his pathetic life is as useless as that button. Right? We're pretty much were we all thinking that?
Pretty much.
I mean, but in the end, Locke was right. He should have kept pressing that button.
Yep.
But he didn't.
But I mean, in the long run, by pressing that button, Sawyer, Kate, and Claire get off the island.
Now, do you think Ben wanted Locke not to press the button? But what? Did they want to get rid of the Swan Hatch because it had weapons down there? It also gave the Lossies comfort, and
Ben would do anything to get out of the cell, I think, at this point. And so,
but he could have left without he could have left, but maybe he couldn't have gone far enough to protect himself. Well, because when he got out and John was still pinned under the blast doors. Was it blast doors?
Yeah.
So he didn't have time. Maybe he did press the numbers because he didn't have time to get far enough away. But I'm saying, did the others? Okay, now that they found this Swan Station, do we need to get rid of it? Was that Ben's mission?
He definitely. I think maybe he just wanted Locke to be distracted.
Yeah,
that's if Locke's mind's on whether to push this button or not, and he's constantly thinking about that, he's not thinking about Ben Linus. He's not asking questions.
But why did Ben get captured? What was the point?
He was there to get more information, right?
But they were monitoring him. They knew what was going on.
I don't know.
I'm just throwing it out there. Does anyone in the chat have something?
What's weird is you would think that as soon as they find out that there are people living in the Swan Station, they could utilize the Pearl to monitor them.
Right.
But based on the stack later, we see the stack of journals that once the others took over and killed Dharma in that sort of purge,
right,
that the others, like the Richard Alperts and the Ben Linuses and Juliets, didn't know that the Pearl Station existed. Which means, is there nothing in Dharma Town that shows evidence of the Pearl Station?
But I thought
because
they had
obviously the Pearl, there was people in the Pearl Station continuing to fill out those journals
right
after Dharma was gone. That's hence the big pile of unpicked up journals.
Right.
But don't we see later they pick up the journals and they say, we don't know where do these come from? I don't know. We just pick them up. Is that something that happens?
It might be. But didn't they have a way of? It wasn't just the Pearl station they could watch. Wasn't there another place they could monitor the other stations? Don't we see that later on?
I think it's the Pearl. I think it's just the Pearl.
Just the Pearl?
I think so.
Gail says in the chat, did Ben have the names he needed? Did he need more names?
Well, we know that he... I thought Ethan got all the names. But maybe his goal is the same as Mrs. Clue. Like he needs to learn more about Jack, Kate,
Hurley,
and
James Ford.
And James Ford, because they're candidates.
Okay.
So maybe he just wants to get in close to find out what makes them so special and why Jacob would want them. Because we know later that that's all that Ben wants is to get the approval of Jacob. So if Jacob has this list of candidates, for some reason he might think that these are the most important. So maybe he was going to get them himself. And since he got caught, Clue is using that as an opportunity to get them to trade. So I don't know.
I can live with that.
I mean, if Ben Linus is pretty obsessed with Jacob and he knows about the list of the lighthouse or on the cliffs in the caves. So if these people start showing up, he's going to want to like get closer. He's
Why not me?
Yeah.
Well, we come to the end. Jack gives Libby a shot of heroin. Hurley talks with Libby. That's kind of sad. And then Libby dies after saying, Michael. And Jack goes, no, Michael's okay. Michael's okay. He lived.
Well,
and then
luckily there's Saeed who like, I mean, it's next episode. He's like, I don't trust this guy.
Well, what did you guys
like? How often is Saeed like the one that actually knows what's going on? It's just like, why is he the one we're all following? Because I'm Saeed. I know how to torture people.
Well, he knows when people are lying.
I know, but I'm just saying, just time and time again, I feel like Saeed is more qualified.
He is. But what did you guys think of Question Mark? Good, great, okay
like I said
episode.
At the beginning, I think Flashback was okay, but I think the strength of this episode was in the Locke story progression, the Echo story progression on the island.
Well, if you notice, I barely recapped the off island.
I think that, and I've mentioned this on the show before, is that usually the off-island stuff's just character stuff, doesn't really pertain to the on-island stuff. I think the majority of the people watching are here to watch the on-island mystery more and are more into the adventure side of the story, so that, once you see a flashback, you remember that flashback and it's information that you don't need anymore. It's backstory about the character. Now that I know that backstory, I don't need to rewatch it. But the island stuff is kind of the fun stuff that you can still sort of pick apart and sort of speculate and theorize about, that you kind of don't need the flashbacks. So mostly the on-island stuff's kind of the more fun stuff.
I agree with most of that, but what I've seen a couple episodes with Helen, and I still think Helen was working with Anthony Cooper. Yeah,
there's some fun off-island flashback stuff, and there's some characters that I like off-island, and it's John Locke's. I think flashbacks are a lot of fun to revisit. Jack's not so much. Kate's not so much. It's really hard. Just I think Locke has the most interesting backstory because there are a lot of twists and turns in it.
Right.
Maybe Jin and Sun. I think Jin and Sun have sort of an interesting backstory. The way they kind of have a back and forth.
Well, because their relationship is a roller coaster. So
yeah. So, but I like 3 minutes. The next episode where the flashbacks are on island.
Right.
So this is like This is like no.
I think this is the second. If I remember correctly, this is the second time they had the flashbacks were on island.
Yeah, if you don't count, I mean, the other 48 days. That kind of is one
that's
big
true.
giant.
Okay.
It's like one big
That's true.
giant. And then I think maybe did we get a Claire episode where we saw some of?
Yeah, Claire, where they find the medical hatch.
Okay.
That they took a week
and
or
then
two
opened
to
it up,
back.
and then that they opened up and then went inside to the medical station.
Medical station, yes. I've been saying hatch for 15 years.
No,
I'm sorry.
They say it on the show. It's perfectly fine.
No, I want my guest to be happy.
That'll never happen.
So we go to 3 minutes, and this one kind of jumps around. We have 13 days ago, 10 days ago, 11 days ago, and Michael's story.
What was neat about this episode was that it didn't have was this the first one that didn't have like an off-island flashback, or was there another one? Did you say that? I'm sorry.
We just had a whole conversation about it.
Jim, can you say
Sorry.
Jay never listens? Literally, we talked about it for 5 minutes.
I tuned it out. I apologize.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Watching a baby
Yeah.
monitor.
no, this
That
wasn't
is
the first time. Well, this episode jumps around, and you kind of see how Michael. Why did Michael? If he wasn't, because the argument debate I've had with people, why did he kill Ana Lucia if he didn't have to? I still say he was told to kill Ana Lucia. I think Libby was just collateral damage, but there was no reason he had to kill Ana Lucia.
For what purpose, though?
To revenge, because remember, Ben tells you're a bad person, Ana Lucia. You killed two of my
That's right.
our people.
Yeah.
But we don't
I
ever
can see
hear we don't ever hear it, and the note doesn't say anything. But thanks, Jim. Jay never listens. I made, because there was no reason to do it.
Right.
Right? He could have done it. Unless it was because, they also had, but Clue does say something in this episode. They have to be mad enough to want to come. So, but why kill Ana Lucia? She wasn't the most.
I agree with
person.
you. I agree that she was asked, or he was asked to do that. I agree.
Yeah.
The part that I never understood, though, is how he turned. I mean, I guess it was his son is the main driver, but I always thought his heel turn was more abrupt than they ever allowed.
Well, that's the thing. I was watching this, and I'm like, Michael's nuts, but he is missing his kid. Now, I'm the only one here that doesn't have children, and I don't know. Is that something? Do you find yourselves as fathers? Would you go that crazy? I mean, and take in consideration you're on an insane island where you've been under stress for like the last 52 days or something.
It's funny you say that, because can you kill innocent people to get your?
Whoa!
Where am I going? Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still there, but you're in some sort of.
Whoa.
You just went into some sort of void.
I know. Wow, that's weird.
I think he spit. There's a little spit that came out of his mouth, and a little bit of water touched the camera. So Jack, why don't you just wipe the camera with your finger?
Smudge it up real good so we don't have to look at you.
Wow, that's all it was. Thanks. It scared me.
I don't
like.
No, it looked like some sort of weird ghost.
Am I going in another dimension? Well, this house is haunted.
Oh, really?
No,
it is.
You hear whispers?
No, well, you see things, you hear things. Everyone's seen it, but Jay. But
barking spiders.
Because it's usually things like that. It's like, what is this? I don't understand. It's like you just spit on the lens.
No, I've seen people. Anyway, so I don't think I could
see people.
I don't think I could kill. I don't think I could kill innocent people to. But you don't know, because remember Michael too.
I mean, what if someone took Jay? Well, maybe not Jay from you.
Yeah, go. I got two other kids.
Yeah, what if someone took two?
I got four grandkids you can choose from. So yeah, I'd probably do something crazy.
But especially if you're on an island, and yeah, I don't know. And by that time, he's already agreed to take the boat, right?
Right. Well, no, he said he demands the boat.
Yes, but by the time he shoots Ana Lucia, he's already demanded the boat.
Right. Yeah.
So you're able, this island, this horrible island of horrors that you've been stuck on with one of your offspring, and you have the opportunity to get out of there, and they say, hey, go kill this person you don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Animals, yeah.
Yeah, but not, I mean, barely. I mean, because they were gone for 48 of however many days we're into this.
Or does he kill Ana Lucia because maybe he blames her for
Shannon?
Well, not Shannon, but maybe because he went after her.
Yeah.
Well, but is it because Michael, as we see off island, he kind of got screwed on the whole is it Sarah? Who's his wife?
Vanessa?
No, that was Sarah, not Sarah.
Sarah's Jack's wife.
Yeah, she's one of the more horrible people in Lost.
It's funny. It's funny because me and Stevie were talking about this on Sunday because we saw Birds of Prey, and it took us forever to remember Marvin Candle's real name. And it took forever. And so like trying to remember names of people that aren't on these two episodes is like impossible. But I do know Sarah. It's not Sarah.
I did post on Reddit, is she one of the worst people on Lost? And a lot of people agreed. Because she was terrible. She was terrible. There was no reason to. Susan, thank you, Gail. Susan, I had an S, so I was doing well. But she's a terrible person, and she took what he couldn't wait to have a child. And not only did she do that, she didn't give Walt any of his cards he sent. He had no contact with him. She wanted to go live her life and screw Michael. So maybe Michael, he had finally had a chance to have a relationship with his son again.
Right.
And he gets on this crazy island, like you said, and it gets taken away.
Yeah, and one of the things was when he lost Walt, he got interrogated by the lawyers, like essentially saying, what were his first words? Where were you when he lost? I don't know. There were a bunch of personal questions about his relationship with Walt, and it wasn't his fault. But he didn't have a relationship with Walt. And so now here he meets Mrs. Clue, and she's pretty much interrogating him the same way. What were his first words, or what, all of this stuff. And it's driving home that point that he never had a relationship with his son, and now he's getting offered one by and then he asked to get, so by the time he kills Ana Lucia, he's already bargained for the boat and for Walt. Mm-hmm. And so if he goes and helps these people out, he's going to get off the islands with his son. And so that's his main driving force. It's like he's treating it like a guarantee. And so, I mean, if they say, hey, kill this lady, and you're like, well, he's probably been debating for the last 3 days or whatever, whether or not to kill Ana Lucia, and he's weighing pros and cons, and the pros are getting his son off the island and having a relationship with him for the rest of his life, or killing this person that killed other people and who killed, including Shannon.
Well, not only that, but we also see, because Walt does not want to go back. Walt, she even goes, do we need to put you back in that room?
Right.
So he sees that his son is distressed. And
do you think that's like room 23?
I think it is room 23.
Yeah.
I think that was our main theory at the time.
Yeah. And we haven't seen room 23 yet.
No.
Because that's on Hydra. That's on Hydra Island.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Carl,
right?
We don't get into all the. Yeah, we don't see all the other stuff until season 3. Season 3 opens up with seeing there.
To make it harder for Michael, it's not just releasing Ben, but he also has to get those 4 people to show up.
Right.
Just those 4. I mean, it's a tough task for Michael, I think.
I think the toughest sell is Hurley.
Right.
That I don't know how he would have done it without killing Libby.
But he kills Libby by accident.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If he didn't, I mean, I think Libby's death was a total accident. But if he didn't kill her, how would he pull Hurley away from her to go to the others?
Because at the beginning, Hurley doesn't even want to go.
Yeah. There's no reason for him to go.
And Michael's like going, come on, Hurley.
It's a weird. Hurley is the weirdest request. Like a lot of these treks into the jungle and stuff involve those other people. They never really involve Hurley. You know, like even from the pilot, it was always like Kate and Jack and
right,
Sawyer and stuff.
Yeah.
So getting those three together is a no-brainer. Like, hey, I need you to help me out. They're sort of like the go-to people because they have the guns, and this is the kind of stuff they normally do. But then to say, oh, and also Hurley come is like, that's kind of a red flag situation. So I think.
Well, that and like, it's funny. It's interesting to see how much external things influence the story where you killed Ana Lucia and Libby, which they say it wasn't because they got the drunk driving thing, but so you had that, and then this whole Michael storyline was essentially made because Walt grew too fast and they couldn't keep him on the show. So it was like as a way to like just get Walt off of the story for right now.
Right.
And like, so how much of the end of season 2 was influenced by those external factors? Like, I think there is still the main storyline they probably intended to do with the hatch imploding and Desmond and all that kind of stuff. But like this storyline, the
Swan Station.
The Swan Station. This much of the story being influenced by like external factors to the story, which is kind of interesting.
I mean, the episode before question mark was 2 for the Road,
right?
Which is and that's where Ana Lucia and Libby get shot, and they're the two that got the DUI on the road, and 2 for the Road. Whatever. I don't. The thing is, whether or not it's because of these external things, I think the Walt thing is an external thing. I think they needed to get. I mean, clearly they got rid of him pretty much the entire season. Because he grew up, and in this episode, when you see Walt, they definitely pitched his voice up, I think, to make him sound the same age from season 1,
right?
And I think their end goal was we need to get Walt off the island.
But were they not thinking that? Were they not thinking that from the start? Because this has only been 53 days, right?
Well, they went. I think at the end of season 1. They got rid of him because they knew when he came back from the summer, he would be too old. And then they prolonged it as long as they could this season, and then came up with the solution. We're going to get them off the island.
Why not just kill him off?
Because it's a network TV show.
It could be what you could have John say. The island demanded another sacrifice. It had to be Walt. Sorry, Michael.
No, because I think what's frustrating for the Michael Walt story is it was a really beautiful story in season 1 where he's getting a second chance to spend time with his son. I think that was the original drive for that story, but he grew up a lot faster than I think they expected him to. So they had to kind of like pause the story, but then it kind of made Michael go through this really weird, kind of not cool story arc for him. And then they kind of tried to fix it, but they never quite landed that resolution that I think they really tried to several times. They tried to
get redemption,
They tried in season 4, and then even still brought him back in season 6 to try and get some type of resolution, but they still never. So to me, I look at it as I think they wanted it so bad, but just all these external factors, they tried several times, just never really landed that plane.
Right. But that's what's great about the flash forwards and like Oceanic 6 and stuff is you're able to bring Walt back in. I'm fine with how it turned out. What's funny about watching this episode and the big cliffhanger is that we see the Elizabeth, we see the boat,
right?
Because I was like, as soon as Hurley said, "I'm going with you," I'm like, okay, this ends with Michael and those guys on the dock with Ben Linus, and I was like, oh man, this finale's so good, and I was getting excited to possibly go back and rewatch those finale episodes, but I kept thinking the whole time, I'm like, doesn't Saeed and Jin end up on the boat? Have we not seen the boat yet? And this whole time I'm thinking, I don't think they have the sailboat yet. And then at the end, we see the sailboat.
Now, do you think
the pieces are being set, and I'm very, very excited for that for sure.
I think Jay, you pointed out that the Saeed could was it you or I one of you two figured out that Saeed knew what was going on, that Michael was compromised. How did they not figure out when Michael was so upset when Sawyer told him, "Yeah, I got Saeed in here. We got Saeed," and then Michael goes, "Why would you?" Well, I figured we'd get someone who has actually fought in a war.
Right.
Again, you're insisting on Hurley, who wouldn't even kill a tree frog. Now later on, he becomes a commando. He does kill somebody, but
yeah, Mr. Friendly.
But why wouldn't you? I mean, why wasn't it sitting up a red flag between Jack and?
That's a huge red flag.
Sawyer?
Saeed should be on every single mission,
right?
Hands down. So I think that's where Michael kind of goes off the rails, and I think Saeed's picking that up. That's why he ends up taking the boat with Jin,
right?
As sort of a backup.
Is that the first time we see the 3-toed statue, the 4-toed statue?
Yeah, and I think that's in the finale.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do have a funny scene in this one where Charlie's working on the church, and Vincent brings him the Virgin Mary statue.
Yes.
Who did this? Who? I thought that was a funny scene.
Who brings that many Playboys onto a plane? That's what I want to know.
Well, the same
a lot
person
of Playboys in that stash.
Same person that brought the pregnancy test.
Right. I guess they only have flip phones.
But he finds a stash, and he does throw all the statues into the ocean, so all the fish are going to get high. But Locke sees him do it. So
that's a nice little button on their storyline that began with the moth. I like that a lot.
It was.
It's a funny moment. Well, not funny, but it's an interesting moment story-wise because it's Charlie finally throwing away his addiction.
Right.
He's getting rid of his demons. And Locke sitting there with a leg brace, broken, with his faith shaken, sees that. And it maybe restores some of his faith by seeing that happen. Maybe he's starting to think the sort of that it doesn't really matter, like if you believe or not, you can still make an impact in this life. And I feel like that was sort of the theme of the finale of Lost, was no matter what your faith is, it's all about the people you impact while you're alive, the people who mean the most to you and the people that you mean the most to. So I feel like that theme is kind of displayed in this scene, especially knowing where Locke is at the end of this episode, completely broken, like physically, like with his, he's laying there just staring into the ocean, which we've seen him do before.
Right.
When he's lost, and he's the leg brace, and the leg brace just kind of nails that home. Like it just,
and he leaves the crutches behind.
Yeah. So it's a really good moment between them. But unfortunately, this ties up Charlie's storyline completely.
Right.
Yeah.
And we see at the funeral, Claire holds Charlie's hand.
Right.
And so they're happy.
Charlie
together.
goes, "I'm back in, baby."
Yeah. So Charlie is completely, has no more drugs to deal with. He has his girl back. Right. And as we know on Lost, no one could be on the island and be happy.
Yeah.
So there's a story. There's a storm coming, and it's going to be interesting. Well, I mean, we already know what happened.
Carol says, "It feels so good to hear these three men again. I miss those Lost podcast days." Well, I see too, man. There was a great scene though between Jack and Sawyer, and Jack says, Sawyer says, "I didn't even know her." "What do you mean, Ana Lucia?" He goes, "Yeah, we had sex."
Not listening.
We had sex. You know,
he said we screwed.
We were caught in a net, and then and Jack gives his, "Why are you telling me this, Sawyer?" And he goes, "Well, you're about the best friend. You're about the only friend I have on this island."
Right.
And it's like, wow.
I mean, this is the beginning of Sawyer starting to come to terms with himself.
Right. Well, he had a lot of remorse in these 2 episodes.
Right.
Which
I
I think the Andalusia dying kind of just effed him up, clearly.
He kind of effed him up.
It was his gun.
Yeah. The thing is, he feels responsible for her having a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Her getting shot. So he's kind of getting conscious about it. So,
well, there's always been a good person in there. It's just we see it as flashbacks that he's had, you know. Gail says her favorite scene: Echo and Michael clean the blood on the floor. Can't fool Echo.
Right.
Then we have the funeral. Jack speaks for Anna Lucia. Hurley speaks for Libby. And then we have the scene where we talked about earlier. But yeah, that's and then Sun sees the boat.
Right.
And I literally forgot that. I go, that's right. This is in this episode.
Yeah, so I didn't know it's in the episode. I was just like, I was literally like, have we seen the boat yet? And I don't think we have. And I don't think what's exciting is we don't know who's on the boat.
No.
And
it's a drunken desert.
Yeah, it's a fun reveal.
I'm sorry, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Because we didn't even know if we were going to see that guy again. Because I know we used to make jokes. He's at the other side of the island at the Walmart or something. We had jokes going on. But
I really like this episode. As I mentioned before, I like that it was an on island flashback.
Did you know that, Jay? This was all on island flashback.
It kind of gave us a little bit of more insight into the others. I think earlier in an earlier episode, we hear Michael say that they're hillbillies.
Yes.
And in this episode, we hear Walt tell Michael that they're faking it. They're not really.
Yeah. And that's when Clue says, you want to go back in the room?
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a little more insight into how these people live, but we still have questions on who they are.
Right.
Yep.
And we won't find that out for.
Well, that was the one thing Michael was telling the truth about.
Right.
The only thing he was telling the truth about, everything he described was what, you know.
Did we already saw the medical station with the fake beard, right?
Yes. Kate found it.
So yeah, we know that these guys aren't who they seem. We don't really get any answers, but
I think that was one of my theories back in the day, but I could be wrong. But I think
one of my favorite moments is coming up in the finale when they're all kneeling on the dock about to get executed, and then you just see the footsteps coming off of the boat, and it's Ben, all cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so good. I think I'm going to rewatch this finale. There's so much stuff that happens.
So it is a packed finale.
Yeah.
So the 2 episodes, which one was your favorite?
I'd say 3 minutes. Just because it's all island.
Is it?
Yeah, and it's not the first time. Because there was a 48 days. And
there's another episode too with
Claire.
Yeah.
All that stuff we said before.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So Jay, what was your favorite, Jay?
He's not listening. Look.
It was this one because it was the first time there was a just on island flashback episode. I think it was really
okay.
important.
Nice. That's a good reason, Jay. But no, I enjoy this. Like you said, I can't wait to watch the finale, the two-part finale. It's,
there's a lot that happens.
A lot going on, and a lot of theories from that, and a lot of. I think season 2 had more episodes where there were more theories to theorize about.
Well, yeah, because it was the Dharma Initiative, and with the they introduced at the finale of season 1 what we refer to as the others,
right?
With Mr. Friendly, and then so you have
the boy.
So there's so many things. I mean, at this time, we don't know if the others are Dharma Initiative. We don't know if they're just natives. We don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much stuff to speculate about, and then you have sort of like the weird, like even in the question mark episode, you have the psychic from Claire's episode saying that he's a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you start questioning like off-island stuff, but he did specifically tell Claire to get on that plane.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not be a fraud. And so that starts raising questions. There's not just crazy stuff going on the island, but possibly off the island as well. And so
that's just kind of, that's neat. I like that because it fits into that, there's mystical properties throughout the world, and that island happens to be one.
And we learned that from like the lamppost station.
Yeah.
Right. But one of the things
and even in Roses in SOS, we learned that when he says like, this is a certain pocket of whatever that heals cancer. It's just not going to work for you, but she found the one that would.
Right. One of the things
eventually works for Dharma.
One of the things I think about this season having a lot of theories and stuff is, you mentioned this before. This was the season when you and the transmission and make your own kind of music started. This is also, what year is this? 2006.
2006. Right. Well, 2005 and 2006.
2006, yeah.
So we were kind of into more of message boards, and podcasts were becoming big. And so you were able to sort of find a community on the internet that would kind of spread out a wide net where people were talking.
A large water cooler, like gathered around a water cooler.
The largest water cooler. Like Jay said, he would jot down notes and talk to you about it. And then he's like, let's do this as the podcast. Let's do this as a podcast. And it was immediately taking sort of family TV night and expanding it and expanding it and expanding it. And then when Twitter came, it just blew up. Twitter came, I think, 2 years after this, like I think 2008. But even like MySpace and stuff, where it's just like, not only would you theorize, but you would start going and seeking out theories in other places. And then with the podcasts, people were sending theories to you. And when you get a theory, then you start thinking, oh, well, that fits with this, or that can mean something else. And you'd start kind of building off of theories, and it would kind of snowball and become a bigger thing. And then all the way to the point where by the time it ends, all that stuff that everybody thought about didn't come true. It went in this direction, and this big snowball of people were disappointed.
Right.
Whereas maybe you should have just, I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't have been theorizing the whole time, but I feel like with this episode, you just kind of have to like let go, you know?
Yeah.
With Charlie physically letting go of the heroin, and John Locke saying Charlie, I feel
just
like
enjoying the ride. But that was, to me, even though I was wrong 99% of the time, it was fun because it made you think. I mean, I can remember laying in bed going, not sleeping because I go replaying the episode in my head, or I'd get up and go watch the episode again.
Here's the thing, like I mentioned earlier with my it's not a theory because it's not something that happened. It's an idea of Hurley finishing Echo's church and that being a gateway to the Flash Sideways dimension. Anything that didn't disprove any of your crackpot theories, you could still think of as true.
Right. Yeah.
If you could fit in the story, because Lost is sort of like a big giant puzzle with missing pieces, but missing pieces on purpose. Right. And I like to cut out my own pieces and fill in those gaps. And until something comes along that proves me wrong, Why not just accept it as truth?
Because I always, like I've said it more than once. I believe that Helen was working with Anthony Cooper, and there's nothing there's nothing that people could say I'm wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I also could be right because there's nothing
contradicting it.
Right.
Yeah. So
it just because the way they film it and the way they film those 2 episodes with Helen,
yeah,
it's to interpretation, and I believe for sure that she was.
And I feel like, speaking of the finale, and I know this still comes up in pop culture, people talk about the Lost finale. Anytime some show ends, whether it's Game of Thrones or whatever, Lost is always brought up in the finale. I know the 3 of us love the finale, but what I find funny is I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and she said that she hated the finale. She loved Lost, but hated the finale, and that she didn't get it. And so I kind of explained some of this to her, and she was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to rewatch it. Because the thing is, it's like what's cool about Lost is that it's open to interpretation.
Right.
The problem is people don't want it left up to interpretation. People want it sort of answered.
Well, I think some do, but there's a percentage of us that I love the way it ended.
It's tough because you can't please everybody. But if you leave it ambiguous for everyone to draw their own conclusion, then they also get mad. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I can say that this theory isn't disproven. Like, you can't disprove this theory. So for me, it's true. For you, it doesn't have to be. But that's the point. Lost is sort of this unfinished form that's constantly shifting, that we're still talking about 14 years later.
Right.
And it could be interpreted 1,000 different ways. It could be a show about relationships, like a love story sort of relationship show. It could be a sci-fi drama. It can be an adventure serial. It could be like a science fiction show. It can be whatever. But what's nice about it is it's whatever you want. It could even be a faith-based drama.
Well, even in this episode, we can debate, was Michael told to kill Anna Lucia or not? And people will say no, yes, no, but there's no.
And what's great about that is, instead of getting mad about it and not having the answers, do family TV night, get together and discuss it.
Exactly.
And come up with points. And that's what's great about Lost. And I say this every year when we do the Comic-Con event. I'm glad we get through the hour without stumbling too much. But then also the community is so positive.
Right.
Even people, there's been last time at Comic-Con, there was someone there who hated the finale, but still loved the rest of the show. Right. And I'm not trying to get people to change their mind about the finale.
No, I don't.
But I know that they're smart enough and cool enough to have a civilized discussion about it, and I can see their points and they can see my points. But that's what's great about Lost. It's never. I mean, we joke around on here, but about your crazy crackpot theories, but I don't get offended. No. This isn't Twitter. This is
some did, but that's okay. That's okay.
But so there's something about Lost where, here we are. Like I said, 14 years later, you guys have been going since 2006 or even 2005.
2005.
Yeah, you guys
October 1st of 2005. Am I right, Jerry?
Coming up on 15 years.
Right, and we're still talking about it. We're still coming up with new theories.
Carol pointed out, I remember when Colleen was a girlfriend, not yet a wife. Do you remember that,
Yes, I remember that.
I remember when Colleen was a girl that kicked me out of my bed, and I just sleep on the floor and get a cold.
Such a trooper, Ralph.
Yeah, I mean, Ralph can lay, some credit for us, getting to, because I
mean, it was obvious. It was obvious that it was going to happen, but
I got two grandkids out of it. I was cool.
I nudged it in the
Ralph. Yeah, definitely. Ralph was definitely one. There's early influencers in our relationship that without them, whatever. But yeah, Ralph is definitely one of those people early on that.
I always wanted to be an influencer.
Yeah, you're definitely an influencer.
Now you're an Instagram influencer.
I mean, right? Jesus, I can't believe I've known you guys for 15 years.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It doesn't seem that long.
That's crazy,
does it? Well, yeah. on this note, why don't we both you and Jay have things that you're doing right now? Jay, you want to talk about your YouTube channel and all that different stuff?
Oh yeah, Geek Dad Life at geekdadlife.com.
Ooh, speaking of instrumental, Speaking of instrumental, Ralph, time and time again, just a significant contributor to what I do in life. But yeah, Ralph.
Ralph kept telling me not to do this.
Yeah, get out of here, Jack.
But I try to at least do a new video once a week about geeky things that I like in life. So,
and I found out that the URL was available for him to take. So
yeah.
I like Geek Dad Life. Everyone should subscribe and
thank you.
Check out. You know what? Just go to casinoskunk.com. That's where you'll find me and all of my podcasts. I know you guys mentioned earlier that everyone likes Hurley,
which I was on recently. I was recently on your Secret Society. Yeah,
we were talking about toys and collecting and all that good stuff. And then there's the Kaiju.
I still need to send you that that Millennium Falcon. It's sitting on my desk.
That's fine.
I'm a horrible friend.
It's fine.
He does all this stuff for you, Jay.
Yeah. Oh, are you upset that Ralph doesn't want you on his show? Is that what
I was on his show.
Yeah.
Oh, see, there you go. Yeah.
So, what, you don't listen to my show, Jay?
I listen to your show.
We talked about we went on the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
We had some pretty good theories on that, and I think one came true. I think.
Oh, I didn't listen to the Mandalorian ones. No.
Yeah.
Okay,
but in fairness, I don't think I listened to any Mandalorian podcast. Not even Owen and Bruce. It was a busy time of year. Christmas time. It was really a busy time of year.
Yeah, it was nuts. I think I did something like, God, it was like 18 podcasts in like a month and a half or something. It was ridiculous. Because I also do the Kaiju podcast with Jorge Garcia. And you guys were mentioning earlier how much everybody loves Hurley. So if you love Hurley so much, go listen to his podcast that I produce and co-host called the Kaiju Podcast.
Carol has a question.
For me?
Can I ask?
Probably.
Can I ask you guys how you felt about The Good Place? Maybe the ending. I haven't seen the ending yet.
I've only seen the first episode.
I love The Good Place. Very, very clever, funny show.
The ending is incredible. Just a beautiful, beautiful ending that I sobbed.
Shocker.
Baby.
I just sobbed.
You're an easy crier, though. You're like the Ed McMahon.
I'm an easy crier, but I was like.
Wasn't your signature...
weren't they dead the whole time?
Yeah.
My signature on the old
Jane Jack Forum was I cried when Simba died.
I cried when Mufasa died, yeah.
Oh yeah, Mufasa, not Simba.
But yeah, it was Good Place season finale. It was fantastic. I love how that show just explores death and afterlife and all that kind of stuff. And
if you haven't seen it, go see it. Go watch it because it is a very, very good show.
I've only seen the
binge. First episode. Excellent show.
It's good. Yeah.
Cool.
What the hell? My sucker fish just went crazy. Okay.
It's a euphemism.
I don't know. He left his boat, and I don't know what the hell he did. Anyway, I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Thanks again, Ralph, for always being there. And
Jim Watari just subscribed to my YouTube channel. Thanks, Jim. I just got that notification.
There you go. You're not listening, but at least Jim, at least you got something out of it. And Jay, I don't know if we'll have you back on again, but if you want to be back on, you have an open invitation to be on anytime you want.
And I want to say thanks, Jack, for having me again. And Jay, anytime you want to come on my podcast, you're free to join me.
Like I said, I am
Thanks,
in
Jack.
Anytime. Anytime Ralph asks me, I'm there. Jack,
No,
not so
dude,
much.
here's
Ralph,
the thing.
you ask.
No, you guys have always said yes. I always say yes to you guys, except Jack. I think last week I couldn't do it last week because I had a very, very, very long day celebrating my wife's birthday. So,
and I said no. I said, what about next week?
And I said, okay.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Because you've been on like 4 or 5 times, I think, right?
I think so.
Because it's always great talking loss with you, Jay. No.
Yeah.
I've done
the worst
it. So
part,
it's like, you know.
The worst part about doing
We've done it
show.
for years.
The worst part about doing the show, honestly, is having to rewatch the episodes, and that's not even that bad. So it's always a pleasure. I love doing it.
I've really been into it watching it, but for me the hardest thing is stopping and not going to the next episode.
Right.
You know, I've watched 3 minutes. I want to watch finale because I've done that a couple times where I recorded out of order.
Well, get to
and it
the
kind of
first
confused me.
pod of season 3. Remember that first pod? Remember we called them a pod, and
oh yeah,
the majority of it.
Run.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Fine. It's fine, but the problem is it's so Hydra cage heavy that you don't really get a lot of Hurley and the other island people in it. And then
you don't get the meat and potatoes.
Then they took a break from like November to February or something ridiculous.
Right.
And I was like, oh, like it was just wrapping up the season 2 loose ends. And we're finally getting into new stuff. So
I think we still but we were making things up as I can't remember. Jay would know more than I would.
Oh, during the hiatus?
Yeah, trying to figure out things to talk about. It really got hard. It really got hard to do the last few, because remember they would 2 episodes, 3 episodes up, 3 weeks out.
Longer hiatuses.
Right. Then you had
there was a website. There was a website that you typed in like, is Lost new this week? And it would just say yes or no.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being here.
And
Jay, you're kind of in the dark right now, but thanks for being here, Jay. I know it's way past.
So I changed.
Oh, okay. I know it's way past your. I know it's way past your bedtime. And thanks for everyone in the chat who joined us live. We do these live every now and then, but if you like what we're doing, subscribe, tell a friend, thumbs up. Go check out what Ralph and Jay are doing, and that's all I got.
All right.
I'm out of here. Hasta luego. And goodbye.
Bye. Did it backwards. You said it.